We were extremely close to witnessing the official end of the war between the US and Iran, but the deal fell apart at the last moment, which of course triggered another correction in the crypto market. We'll also talk about Ethereum's problems and the possibility of its price dropping even further in the near future, and we'll touch on the topic of internet computer, which many of you seem to be excited about. Stay with us until the end of the episode, where we will look at why Satoshi Nakamoto may not have created Bitcoin entirely on his own. If you like what we do, you know how to support us, and we thank you in advance. A few days ago, the US and Iran supposedly agreed to stop attacking each other, with the official signing of the peace agreement expected today in Switzerland. The agreed upon points included halting strikes from both sides, reopening the Strait of Hormuz, banning Iran from possessing or developing nuclear weapons, and stopping all attacks in the Middle East. However, it seems Israel wasn't particularly on board, and yesterday they attacked Lebanon again, with local media reporting at least 16 casualties as a result of the aggression. Because of this, the peace deal that was supposed to be finalized today has been postponed, and US Vice President J.D. Vance announced he would not travel to Switzerland and criticized Israel's actions. Now begins a new 60-day period during which the warring nations must agree on a new peace deal. With a bit of humor, I'll say that maybe just one World Cup match between the US and Iran will fix things or create even more drama. Quite the joke, really. Now let's see how the markets reacted to the news. Crypto logically went down, with Bitcoin dropping to around $62,000, Ethereum falling below 1,700, and Solana and XRP tumbling by 4–5% in the last day. Oil prices ticked up slightly to around $80 per barrel, gold pulled back to $4,100 per ounce, and traditional financial indices like Nasdaq and S&P 500 remain in green territory. Shifting our focus specifically to Ethereum. As we mentioned, it fell below the psychological level of $1,700, and analysts warn this may only be the beginning of a new wave of sell-offs. The reason is a combination of technical and fundamental factors stacking on top of each other. First, interest in short positions on Ethereum is rising, meaning big players are betting on further decline. Moreover, if the price stays below $1,650, many analysts expect the downtrend to accelerate. This could open the door to levels around 1,500 or even lower, especially if the broader market remains under pressure. But technical signals aren't the only issue. Something inside the Ethereum ecosystem itself is worrying investors. Xiao Wei Wang, one of the directors of the Ethereum Foundation, has left the organization. This comes just weeks after other key departures and raises questions about internal tension or a shift in direction. While such reshuffling is normal for large projects, the timing is far from ideal, right when Ethereum is fighting to maintain its market position and convince investors that upcoming upgrades will bring real improvements. The combination of technical weakness, increased selling pressure, and uncertainty around the Ethereum Foundation creates a perfect storm. And although Ethereum has proven many times that it can recover, in the short term the risks of another drop look very real. Judging by the comments you leave under our episodes, many of you seem interested in and probably invested in ICP, the cryptocurrency of Internet Computer. So let's talk a bit about this digital asset. Its price is currently around $2.22, with a market cap just over $1.2 billion. A big drop over the past few months, but hey, bear market. There are some worrying signs suggesting we could see an additional collapse. For example, the number of coins stored on centralized exchanges has reached its highest level since the token's creation. This usually means many investors are preparing to sell, which could logically lead to an even deeper price crisis. However, there are also optimistic signals. Data shows that Internet Computer is one of the fastest blockchains in existence. In fact, the project is on the verge of surpassing 300 billion transactions, having already reached 290 billion. This is a massive number and shows that Internet Computer can process operations much faster and at much larger scale than most other blockchains, such as Solana or Cardano. Some analysts believe that investing in ICP right now is like investing in the internet back in 1998. Others don't think it's that huge of an opportunity, but still believe the price could easily climb above $5 to $10 in the coming months and potentially reach $50 to $100 in the next bull run. To wrap up, let's touch on a topic that has always sparked debate in the crypto space: the origins of Bitcoin. More specifically, whether Satoshi Nakamoto truly created the cryptocurrency alone, or whether behind him stood a much broader group of cryptographers and engineers who had been working on similar ideas years before the white paper appeared. The reason this discussion resurfaced is an interview with Adam Back, the creator of Hashcash and one of the most respected figures in the cypherpunk movement. According to him, Bitcoin didn't appear out of nowhere in 2008. It builds on concepts developed as early as 1997. Back then, in closed cryptography mailing lists, people were already discussing ideas for digital money, proof-of-work mechanisms, and ways to prevent double spending, a problem Satoshi later resolved in a revolutionary way. Back claims that throughout the 90s, various groups experimented with prototypes of Netcash, early versions of electronic money that never quite became functional systems. What sets Satoshi apart, he says, is not that he invented everything from scratch, but that he gathered the right ideas at the right moment and assembled them into a complete working protocol. In other words, Bitcoin is the result of a decade of accumulated knowledge, not a sudden stroke of genius by a single person. This, of course, doesn't diminish Satoshi's achievement. On the contrary, it shows how complex and deep the process was that led to the creation of the first truly decentralized currency. But it also reminds us that behind every major innovation stands a whole community of people who worked, argued, experimented, and dreamed of a world where money doesn't depend on governments and banks. And whether Satoshi was alone or part of a larger team, that will likely remain one of the greatest mysteries in the history of technology. That's all for today, folks. We wish you an amazing weekend and see you soon.